I am Thomas Robert Malthus, the scholar of classical school from year 1766 until year 1834. I born in February 13, 1766 in Rockery in Dorking, Surrey, and my father was the upper middle class English clergyman. About my academic background, I am the first academic economist and I entered Jesus College, Cambridge in year 1784 and I became the Minister of Church of England in year 1788. I have two popular writings, which is the Principle of Population in 1798 and the Principle of Political Economy in 1820. So, I have three main contributions on economy. The first one is the population of growth, and the second is poor laws, and the third is the market gluts. So, in my population theory, I argue that population grew at a geometric rate, while food output grew at an arithmetic rate. In nature imposes firm limits on our pursuit, or higher standards of living. In my population theory, I have listed two checks of population growth, which is the preventive checks and the positive checks. So, in the preventive checks, I urge the people to decrease the birth rate, practice the moral restraint, and this is for the people who could not afford the child should either postpone their wedding, and they should have the birth control. In positive checks, I increase the death rate by bring the famine, misery, and war. This is as a punishment for people who had not practiced the moral restraint. There's one question about my population theory, which is why there is a huge difference between population and food growth. So, the answer is diminishing returns in agriculture due to the fixed supplies of land and limited agricultural resources. Overall, in my population theory, I tend to assert moral life rather than analyze. So we move to the next part, which is the poor law theories. I argue that poverty and misery are the natural punishment for the failure of lower classes to exercise moral restraint. And also I argue that feeding the unreached poor will lead the poor to marry more, breed faster, and be burdened on the society. So, this will show that the poor bring the heaviest to society. In Poor Law Amendment 1843, abolished all relief for able-bodied people. A man who applies for relief has to pawn his possession and enter a workplace before getting the aids, while wife and kids enter the workhouse of work at a cotton mill, and they will starve before getting the aid because due to the height of psychology course. This picture shows that this was the examples of workforce in theory of Thomas Malthus. We move to the next theory, which is the theory of market gluts. Insufficiency in aid to clear the market of all the supplies produced. This is due to the failure of sales law. So market gluts contribute to the potential problems of unemployment due to the lack of aggregate demands. Workers only receive subsistence wages and they do not have the buying power to buy the goods that they produce. So the capitalist has more income but doesn't spend on the commodity market. This will cause the insufficient demand, and next to the inventory is built up and layoffs, and lastly will cause the unemployment. So, the policy recommendation for my Economic contribution is landlord and capitalist force people to spend to make up deficient demand. Tariff promote domestic consumption and increase demand by retain the corn law and maintain low government debt since high government debt causes the inflation. So the poor have no responsibility for the government and spending on wages, profit, interest increase the demand but will raise the production cost. I end my presentation with one quote, which is the power of population is greater in indefinitely greater than the power in earth to produce subsistence for men. That's all for me. Thank you for watching my video.